Welcome guys! We are back to another League of Legends deep dive, Legends of what? God, scratch all that. Hey guys, welcome back to another Runeterra deep dive, and I believe this is the one that you have been waiting for. Like I mentioned before, I'm not only doing the big cinematics, we are basically doing everything. We are covering the champions, the regions, the trailers connected to these. That's why there is some waiting period between, I guess, more popular videos. And I know this one, the call, is quite popular, and boy oh boy, have I prepared for this one. Yeah, I was told that this is a major one, and I have actually read 4 stories in order to be fully prepared and I guess somewhat understand what is going to happen in that trailer. So I have read the Faceless God. It was one about the whole sculpture without a face, that attack by the end of the story. I love that one. That one was fantastic, especially that sculptor, I forgot his name, but he was looking at the sculpture by the end of his life, I suppose. That was a great story. I think my favorite out of these 4. Dead of Winter in Freyjord, they were like hunting that mammoth. Actually kind of felt sorry for him, and I did feel a bit of a satisfaction when he decided to like commit suicide rather than be killed for meat, I suppose. Yeah, also by the end of that video, what was her name? Oh right, Sejuani. She made some sort of a decision in order to keep her people alive, I think. That's her main goal. She's the leader of one of the most vicious maybe? I don't know, I think so. Ruthless. That's the word. Freyjord tribes. Yeah, also a great story. Now, I have another one that I have read, and this one, wow, Hollowspan. Again, not sure if I'm pronouncing it the right way, but Talila, we have seen her before when we were visiting Shurima, and Kaisa. You know what? I have to admit, you probably will not be surprised, but I am sort of shipping them, right? It was amazing the way they were sort of fighting for each other, trying to like help each other out, and then by the end, conveniently so, they decided to go and seek out the whole Zolan place. Zolan, right? Where the Zolani was, where the sculpture was basically. I think that's the spot. Just together, alone, you know. You guys go. Beginning of the story, Delilah was saying that she has to find Zolan because otherwise her people will die and they have to go there despite the dangers in the desert. But then all of a sudden when Kaisa showed up, it's like, yeah, you guys go and just hang out in that village right there, and we're just gonna go alone. Do you see what I mean? But yeah, totally. I even googled that, and I think that's something that people do ship. The saddest thing with these stories, as far as I know, is that I want more. When I finish reading the story, I want the whole story, you know, like a book. Oh, speaking of which, wait. Look what I got. Yeah, it's in Polish because I'm Polish. It was just released in Poland like 2 months ago. I wanted to buy that. Do you remember when I was doing the Ruination videos, the story of Ruination reaction? I did mention that I'd love to read this one, and so now I got it from Ingo as a gift. So thank you so much. I will be reading that, and maybe we'll do some video about that if it makes sense. Final story that I have read was called In Battle Broken. I actually read that just today. It was about, what was his name? Atreus. Oh, almost like a never-ending story, but I think it was Atreo. Pathian. I think he was sort of double possessed, because I think first he was possessed by an aspect of war, Pathian, that made him do stuff, and then he was in conflict with Aatrox. I think that's why you were mentioning him under my Aatrox videos. He got out, then he was possessed by Viego, because Viego does that. He like possesses people, influences their decision making. Then you have that little light blinking under your head, over your head. Yeah, he was possessed by Viego, and I think that happens right before the call, after Ruination. No, during Ruination. Yeah, this is confusing. Like, I'm really trying my best here to properly understand all that, so I do appreciate the patience, because you guys are very kind and you're explaining stuff to me, and you know, sometimes I do see a champion in a cinematic, then I forget that I saw them. Anyway, sorry, I've been talking for like 5 minutes now when we haven't even reached the essence of the video, which is the call that you have been waiting for. And not just that, because we are reacting to the call video, All That Will Ever Be, which is a Bel'Veth cinematic. That's some sort of a champion I know nothing about. I was told that I shouldn't really spoil myself that the point of that videos, because there's another one, Bel'Veth, the Empress of the Void. The point of these videos is to have her revealed. Yeah, this might end up quite a long video, but I think I'm going to actually react to the lore behind the co-cinematic by Necrit, of course. I think that sums up to almost half an hour of a video. I'm just gonna make a timestamp so you can skip whatever you want. That's just easier for everyone. Yeah, so the code that everyone's been excited about, and me too. Just to briefly mention what we're going to do next. Definitely there are Kindred voice lines coming soon. Patreon voice lines coming soon too. And when it comes to other stuff, I'll keep you updated as we go. Videos are usually available 1 week ahead on Patreon. Major shout out to my patrons and everyone who's been supporting me. Once again, shout out to Ulysses Angiano for super thanks that he has sent me. I kind of wonder how these four stories will sort of influence one another, because they weren't strictly connected. There were some connections, obviously, like especially between Hollow Spawn and the Faceless God, but like Freyjord one wasn't really as connected. Oh, I read about it. He makes equipment in Freyjord, right? Oh, and that would be her, Sejuani. I remember that. My ship! My ship is sailing, what? No. That's... Whoa! Oh! That has to be Patreon, right? Did it? Whoa! Oh my god! Because they're both Solari. Wait, why are they fighting? Why is she fighting him? She must be possessed. Wait, what? What happened? Is everyone losing? Oh. Oh my god, they are so in love. Hell yeah! No! Oh. What happened with Kais? Okay. How is that connected to the Jews making swords? What happened? Is he a Darkin or something? Gosh, wow, I prepared well and I'm still confused. I'm certain that that's a ship. Like Delilah and Kaiser? I think she changed her name at one point and added that one mark, right? Because I think, she used to be swallowed by the hollow, by the void. She got out, so I guess that's some sort of a trauma when it comes to her. But now she's doing well and possibly in love. No, I'm sorry. Sometimes I am pushing ships, but I'm certain that that's actually a ship. Now, what was happening with the other thing, with the Freyjord thing? Because I saw Olaf, right, and Sejuani, and that's from that one story. And then I saw Pathian, and he was fighting Leona. Gosh, I confused them, to be honest. The Solari one, I love them. I just confused their names. But yeah, he was fighting her, even though they're both Solari. I think he was possessed, or she was possessed, but by whom? Maybe there's some sort of a Arcane thing going on. This must be connected to Arcanes. Necrit's gonna explain it, I'm sure. Let's jump right into all that will ever be Bel'Veth cinematic. I don't know how that's connected. That person wasn't mentioned in the stories. What? Oh, we are continuing straight away. Oh, I feel like I'm in this story. That's amazing. Oh, lovely. Bro.
What are you? I am everything the void has consumed.
What?
And just as I devoured this city, I will devour your world.
Why? Yeah, she's like. Oh no!
You disappoint me.
Why?
I am not Somalia's void spawn. I am so much more. I am the end of our world and the beginning of mine.
Oh god! How did she do that? She just opened up? What? But like, she's gonna ruin the ship if she kills Kaiser. There's another video when it comes to Bel'Veth, the Empress of the Void. She looks so innocent for what she is. Oh, look at that beast. How did that happen? That's just so disturbing. But she's like these bugs eating flowers. She's like a moth. Ugh. Oh my lord. Maybe that's the point. You know, like a butterfly transformation. Was that zinged? Zinged? Hope she never reaches Caitlin though. She's dangerous. So she's also fish? Oh. Wait, so these are all like concept arts? Pieces of art? Me of that Stranger Things monster. Yeah, that's what she reminds me of. Scary as hell, but I don't actually understand what she is. She said that she's everything that the void has swollen, right? Swallowed, so what, like everything and everyone? Yeah, for sure, let's do both Necrit's videos, because I don't understand the Bel'Veth lady, person, monster, and the Cole, even though, oh, what is he doing here? Even though I have read all these stories, I do feel like I need a proper explanation. So let's dive right into Necrit's video, who's kind enough to allow other creators to like react to that content of his.
Well, yesterday Riot gave us a lot of topics to talk about, and among those was the new cinematic called The Call. Of course, today we will talk about all the important things that happened in this cinematic, because yes, this is actually 100% canon, to a degree where it is very interesting to see just how precise this cinematic is when it comes to the lore. But before we talk about it, I have to say, people thought I was crazy when I mentioned that the stories on Universe were teasing what would happen in the next pre-season cinematic. But yes, I was correct, and those stories were indeed a prequel to this cinematic. But now, without further ado, let's have a look at the cinematic, because it is teasing all the stories that will happen this year. We begin with Ornn crafting a weapon. Now, throughout the cinematic, you may have noticed that Ornn didn't do much. And that's likely because Ornn is teasing the storyline that will happen this year. We know that a Void event is coming, and Ornn might play a role in it. Now, normally, Ornn had such a small role here. It wouldn't even make sense to make a full cinematic model for him. So the reason why we can see Ornn here at all is most likely because he is going to be used in a future cinematic. Because remember, Lucian and Senna were reused in multiple different cinematics. So it is highly likely that when the Void event arrives, we will see Ornn again.
That's so
interesting. We then shift to the Freljord, where we can see Sejuani riding Bristle. Normally, Bristle doesn't have braided hair, so it's really cool to see how in this cinematic, Sejuani is using Bristle's braided hair as the reins.
Oh, they brushed him.
Behind her, we can see Olaf, who might be my favorite character of this cinematic. But also, we can see that she only has a few warriors of the Winter's Claw with her. That's because in the story called Dead of Winter, it was revealed the Winter's Claw was scattered around the Freljord. Sejuani scattered them around so that they would have a higher chance at survival. The less mouths to feed, the better the chances you get to eat. We can also see that they are heading into the Ursine territories. In the same story, it was explained that they are going there because they want to reclaim the Cauldron of Ornn. Long story short, whoever sips from Ornn's cauldron doesn't have to eat for a year. And apparently this cauldron was stolen from Hearth Home by the Ursine, who are of course Volibear's followers. The Ursine stole it because they thought Ornn was making humans weak. If they want to survive, they better fight for it. Regardless, that's why Sejuani is here. In the
Okay,
Shuriman
yeah.
story, we see Thalia
Ooh.
and Kajsa in Zolan. This is a small region in
Thalia.
Shurima, which also was described in a story called The Faceless God.
I think I've been
In fact,
pronouncing
the
it the wrong
faceless
way.
statue in front of them is actually the statue of the Faceless God.
Oh,
of
that's
course, we know that
it.
gods aren't
I missed
really
it.
real, and the god is actually an ancient ascendant of the Shuriman Empire. This is a statue of the ascended Zolani. Anyway, in the Faceless God story, it was revealed that the void was swarming underneath this place. However, a few hours before the cinematic was released, we got another story called Hollowspun. In this story,
Oh.
Kajsa met Thalia and her friends.
Thalia.
At the time, Kajsa was trying to defeat the void, while Thalia was just helping her people. But they both learned that Zolan was invaded by the void, and so they both traveled here. Thalia
Okay,
because she wanted to reclaim a city of her people, and Kajsa because she fights the void. We then get to the Targonian storyline. This one is a mystery to us. We don't really know why Pantheon would be trying to get to the peak of Mount Targon, but you can see that he is approaching a Solari portal that would take him directly to the peak.
But
We
he's
know
been
that
there, right?
Pantheon, or as we should call him, Atreus, hates the Aspects, because they dominate humanity and treat everyone like worms. So we can simply assume that Pantheon is going to the peak of Mount Targon because he wants to fight back the Aspects. I think there is going to be more happening in his storyline, but that's likely going to happen throughout this year. Back in Freljord, we can see a really awesome design of Olaf. Honestly, I love him so much. Please just give him an ASU. And behind them we can see the
ASU?
Ursine. Super long story short, the Ursine worship the Volibear. Because yes, in the lore, Volibear is called the Volibear. Because he is seen as a primal force of Freljord. And they worship him to such a degree that the wild powers of the Volibear just take over their bodies. That's why many of them don't look like humans anymore. We can then see that as Pantheon approaches the portal, the Solari try to prevent him from entering. And Atreus slams his spear down. This is his symbol for peace. Then in Shurima, we can see that the Zersai, which are Rek'Sai's brood, ambush our two heroes. But the two defeat them all together, which causes a massive sinkhole to open up. Back in the Freljord, a lightning causes a massive chunk of ice to tumble down, and Olaf casually shatters it with his helmet. But here we should mention one tiny inconsistency. You see, canonically, Olaf is supposed to be massive. Olaf is as tall as Sejuani when she is riding on Bristle. But here you can see that he is just slightly taller than the others.
Right,
Canonically,
okay.
people believe Olaf's mother slept with a troll.
Oh yeah,
but
I read
no
that.
one ever said it to Olaf's face.
I read that.
Actually, if you go to the frame right before this, his size seems to be accurate there. So I don't know what happened to the scaling in the next frame. We can then see Olaf throw his Hoarfrost axe, and it gets parried by one of the Ursine. This one is definitely referencing Legends of Runeterra. And as it calls upon the powers of the Volibear, interestingly enough, you can actually see just normal Volibear. That's because these Ursine are not the maniacal wild ones. These are normal shamans calling upon the power of the Volibear. There are also the brutal wild Ursine, whose vision of the Volibear is a bit different. And they kinda corrupt the image of the Volibear.
Volleybars are lost on me.
You can see that even though Atreus tried to call for peace, the Solari still attacked him. And
Isn't
so
he
defeats
Solari?
them all without a weapon. He most likely did it because he doesn't want to harm the humans. He is only after the Aspects. So he tried not to kill them. During this fight, in the back you can see the sun coming up, which is followed by Leona descending from the heavens. Interestingly enough, the Zenith Blade is perfectly canon accurate. It is blazing with the power of the sun, that's why it appears to be on fire. And after seeing that he now has to face an Aspect, that's when Atreus picks up the spear. In the Freljord, one of the Ursine calls upon the lightning of the Volibear and hits Sejuani, making her fall on the ground. On Targon, a similar thing is happening. Atreus' fight with Leona is broken up by a star falling down.
How is all this connected?
We know what these stars are. Yet again, this is a mystery of this cinematic. We can assume these come from Aurelian's soul. And that's likely because
Oh.
Aurelian has to be important for the Void event. Aurelian's soul is one of the few creatures in this universe who can close the Void rifts. So for a massive Void event, I really hope we get to see Aurelian there.
Whoa.
And then there is a shot of Ornn making another weapon.
Just making
Actually, throughout the cinematic, he only made one sword, but the point is the same. I truly believe this cinematic is teasing the fact that during the Void event, Ornn will be crafting weapons for everyone. He will be the one arming the champions for a fight. That's why it looks like Ornn is preparing for a war. And then we can see that Atreus fell to the bottom of Mount Targon. Yes, this is symbolic, but when he looks around, he can see all the other people who also failed to climb Mount Targon. Either that, or there has been yet another battle between the Solari and the Lunari. But I believe these are all the failed attempts, because while some of these weapons are obviously Solari, other weapons definitely come from different regions. Anyway, in the background we can see that there are more stars falling down, and in the middle of them we can see Leona's light, because during the previous scene I don't think Leona was shot down. Regardless,
Where?
the reason why there likely are stars falling down may be because previously, and this is just a theory, Pantheon was the one who held Aurelian's reigns. It was the aspect of war who held Aurelian under control. But now that the aspect of war is dead, and Pantheon is obviously not in control of Aurelian, it is possible that Aurelian has regained some form of control over himself. Now we assume that the reigns probably transferred to another aspect. For example, Zoe is talking about toying with Aurelian all the time. But it is still possible that Aurelian may try to rebel against Runeterra. That would explain why Leona too was surprised to see the falling stars. They weren't called down by the aspects. But still, right now, those falling stars are a mystery. Back in Freljord, we can see the lightning killing off the rest of Sejuani's soldiers.
Okay.
In her own words, that's less mouths to feed. And then in Shurima, we get this exchange. Kai'Sa's acceptance and Talia's worry. That's because they both know exactly what Kai'Sa is about to do. Then there is an obvious reference to Legends of Runeterra. But yes, Kai'Sa taunts Rek'Sai and jumps down into the void. This is to make sure she leads Rek'Sai away from Talia so that she stays safe. Or more than that, she wants to lead Rek'Sai away so that Talia can help rebuild Zolan. In the Freljord, there is also another very tiny inconsistency. Sejuani is using her True Eyes weapon to fight the Ursine. However, the pain from wielding that weapon should be so high. She should constantly feel unbearable pain. A few times in the canon lore, Sejuani actually used a gag so that she would have something to bite on as she wielded her flail. Here she just seems angry, but not really in unbearable pain. For a few frames right before she screams into the distance, she sees Volibear's face in the clouds. Atreus then calls upon the remnant powers of the dead aspect, and from this point on, the cinematic starts to tease what will happen this year. We can see Talia destroy the statue of Zolani, so she can cover up the Void Rift. Ironically, in the story that came before this, there was a person who was hired to fix the statue's face. Talia did the exact opposite. The last scene where Pantheon appears is where he jumps into the sky and right into the stars. Once again, right now, we actually have no idea what he's planning to do, but we can assume it is going to be related to the Void. Who knows, maybe he will take control of Aurelian again, and he will force him to close the Void Rifts around Runeterra. Sejuani's story then ends with her and Olaf with only a few warriors left charging at the Ursine. So I assume in the next Sejuani story we will read about how she is going to get the Cauldron of Ornn. And it ends with Kai'Sa still taunting Rek'Sai as she's falling down into the void to make sure everyone on the surface is safe. And in the final shot we can see Ornn finishing the sword. Specifically, this is some kind of a rune sword. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a teasing a skin. Because, as you see, just like during the Sentinels, we had the Sentinels and then the Ruin skins. I really wouldn't be surprised if we got Void Corrupted skins. And then the heroes who are gonna fight them being armed with Ornn's weaponry. We can call them ram forged skins. And I wouldn't be surprised if all the champions shown in this cinematic become main characters in that event. Maybe we will see a ram forged Leona, and maybe she will wield this blade. It is possible that everyone will wield a weapon made by a god. And that's what Ornn is teasing here. Because as you saw, Ornn didn't really do anything. So his presence has to be teasing something. So it seems like he's teasing the fact that he's preparing for war. And the weapons he's making will be used in the fight against the Void. To close this video, we need to mention one more thing. Yes, it was confirmed that a Void event is coming. We saw that during Riot's presentation. And yes, we already know what the Voidy Jungler will be about. At least roughly, even though they didn't appear in the presentation. That's because, in Malzahar's new story, he described the next champion. The Empress, as she was referred to. So yes, we got another event on our hands. And interestingly enough, Riot is scaling down how many champions and how many reworks they are going to be getting out this year. The last time they scaled down their work, it was because they started working on 4 new games. Funnily enough, a long time ago I even made a video about that. So this time, if Riot is scaling back what they wanna do, maybe, just maybe, they are gonna put those resources into the Void event. And maybe we'll get a PvE event. It's wishful thinking. It would be great if it happened. But I just wanna know, why was Victor teased? He didn't even appear in the cinematic!
It's actually amazing that I'm researching this as much without ever having played the game. Like, when he says that there's a Void event coming, I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Like, I'm assuming there's some additions to the game or something. I really don't know. I don't play that type of games at all, so I have no idea. I do play games, but other types. I'm just so lost when it comes to the terminology. But yet it always seems just a little bit complicated. He explains so much, but I'm still not really certain what the point was of connecting all these stories, you know, together, because they were doing their own things. He said that must have been a teaser, like a major teaser when it comes to something else, which I don't know what that is. I don't know if that happened, and I don't know if he was actually right. Oh, also I realized that I have been pronouncing, because he said Talia, right? And I've been saying Talila. Yeah, I've been reading that the wrong way, pronouncing it the wrong way. I think I probably did that before in the Shurima video. Reading these short stories and watching the Cole video has been such a blast. I love that. I love that they cover it from as many fronts. This feels like a layered experience, more in-depth experience, because you can really research it and you can really know what is going on. But like I said, I wish these short stories and trailers, I just wish they had some sort of a continuation. I wish they had a proper ending, you know, so you can read what is going on with like Diana and Leona, or Talia and Kai'Sa, other ships and other champions like Aatrox. What is going on with him? Will he ever really reach his goal and like die or get out of his shape and form that he's in right now? I don't know. I guess this is part of the League of Legends experience, but I wish we would have some sort of conclusions, which we don't. And to me, I seek fantastic stories, and I really hope there'd be an outcome to these stories. So maybe there is. Maybe there's more stories that I could read, and I would actually be happy to. So if you recommend something, I'll be gladly looking into it. Now, I'm sorry, this turned out to be quite a long video, and I know part of it was just me watching Necrit, but I feel like it's important that he also see that, like, I'm trying to understand what I have watched. So yeah, this has been great. Definitely worth the wait. I think there's some still bigger videos coming back. I'm just not certain. The call has been recommended to me on YouTube so many times. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around for as long. Major shout out to my patrons, and I'll see you soon. Make sure to check out my other League of Legends deep dives and Arcane videos too. See you around, guys. Bye.